Good morning, everybody, and welcome to National Apprenticeship Week 2025. I'm Sarah Smith. I'm part of the policy and research team here at the CIPP. In this hour-long session today, I'll give you a brief overview of the Level 3 Payroll Administrator and Level 5 Payroll Assistant Manager apprenticeships. Then we have Bella and Curtis with us today, who will talk through how completing a payroll apprenticeship has helped them within their payroll careers. Do please feel free to submit any questions in the Q&A tab as we go along, and we'll address them at the end of the session. So, for those of you that don't know, what's an apprenticeship? So an apprenticeship is an approved programme of learning which covers a wide range of knowledge, skills and behaviours. They're developed through a mixture of on and off the job training. So the apprenticeship itself is split into three parts. So the first part of the apprenticeship is called on programme, and is where the apprentice will complete all training. So this will be split 80% of their time working and 20% of their time studying. So this will include tutorials, mentoring, carrying out new duties and tasks, and assessments to track their progress throughout as well. The second part is called Gateway, and this is where the employer, apprentice and the training provider agree the apprentice is ready to begin assessments, and they submit all the necessary documentation for that. The final part of the apprenticeship is called the endpoint assessment. Now this is where the apprentice will complete 3 assessments. The assessments requirements are set out by the Institute for Apprenticeships and Technical Education, and they're administered by an endpoint assessment organisation using an independent assessor. So there are currently 2 payroll-specific apprenticeships available. So we have the Level 3, which is the Payroll Administrator Apprenticeship, and then the Level 5 Assistant Manager Apprenticeship. So the Level 3 is aimed at employees who are setting up and operating a payroll within their organisation, or potentially on behalf of another organisation. So typically it includes job titles such as payroll administrator, advisor, officer, associate, those sorts of levels. And this level of apprenticeship can be for a new recruit, or someone who's just entering, or somebody who has been an administrator with experience for quite some time, but has no formal qualifications as of yet. So it can be quite varied. So this could sit within the HR finance function, or directly in a payroll department. The Level 5 is then aimed at employees who have additional responsibilities within their role, such as leading a team of junior administrators, working on advising complex cases, such as expenses and benefit calculations, or interacting with government departments such as HMRC to ensure compliance. So job titles could include payroll assistant manager, supervisor, specialist, or team leader. It can be completed by those who are currently in such a role, or those who are looking to gain the relevant experience to move into such a role. So each standard will look at technical knowledge and business awareness applicable to the level, whilst also covering ethical behaviour, adaptability and ownership. The analysis, teamwork, communication and system use will be appropriate to the standard studied. All of these areas are taught and assessed with relevance to the payroll industry directly, with the payroll employers being involved in creating both levels to ensure there is accurate occupational standard is held. The assessments for the 2 payroll apprenticeships have the same basis, but are pitched appropriately for each level, with learning outcomes and grading changed accordingly. The knowledge test for the Level 5 includes some complex calculations and scenarios, whilst the Level 3 does not. The professional discussion in both cases is underpinned by a portfolio of evidence which the apprentice will collate throughout the training. The level 3 professional discussion takes 60 minutes and the level 5 professional discussion is longer, and that'll take around 90 minutes. The project report for the level 3 focuses on the life cycle of the payroll within the relevant apprentices organisation, and is followed by a question and answer session. The level 5 project report then should have a real business relevance, focusing on an actual payroll issue within the workplace, with the apprentice then expected to investigate and propose and implement solutions for it. It includes a presentation on this process, as well as a question and answer session with the assessor. Good question. Why employ an apprentice? Well, there's definitely many answers. Employing an apprentice can be a great asset to your business. I've seen myself how successful it can be from both sides. If you are looking to hire a new employee, many training providers will work with you to create a seamless new starter process, from recruitment to registering them as an apprentice and beginning learning. Providing apprenticeship opportunities to existing employees shows the value you hold in their skills, encouraging progression and boosting both loyalty and morale. And of course, then we have the levy funding, which is available for up to 100% of some apprenticeship costs. They can be a great cost-effective training tool. And with funding rules set by the Department of Education, transparency of fees is guaranteed. On the flip side, why become an apprentice? Now, especially back when I left school, apprentices were back then and sometimes still assumed to be only for those who were leaving school, or the younger side. It's an alternative to college or university, but in reality, they are a great alternative for this. Apprenticeships can actually be done at any age and any stage of life, for many reasons. It can be a great way to enter a new industry or sidestep to an adjacent field for those who are wanting a change. Regardless of how long they've been working, an apprenticeship could be the right fit. Apprenticeships can also be used as an upskilling tool to solidify your existing knowledge and gain the skills and behaviours needed to progress within your career. I could talk more about the benefits and the support available and the ability to learn while you earn, or bore you with my previous experiences. But what better way to learn about how apprenticeships can impact a payroll career by actually talking to some payroll apprentices. So we are very lucky to be joined by two such apprentices today. So first of all, we'll start off with Bella Cox. Good morning, Bella.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
How are you doing? Oh, thank you for joining us.
No problem.
So, good. So Bella is the Payroll and Pensions Manager at Cox & Co Payroll Solutions Limited. And in May 2024, Bella completed her Level 3 Payroll Administrator Apprenticeship with a distinction grade. And she's since started her Level 5 Assistant Manager Apprenticeship. Well, congratulations.
Thank
Fantastic.
you.
Fantastic grade. Completing Level 3. So come on, tell us the question everybody wants to know. That is a joke between us payroll professionals. What led you to the wonderful world of payroll? And can you share a little bit of background on your previous learning and your career experience for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I initially didn't think that I would ever have a career in payroll. So I left school and I went to college and I did my A levels. And then I was kind of a bit stuck. So I thought, oh, do you know what? I'll just go to university. That's what everyone seems to be doing. So I went to university and I studied psychology for 3 years, and I got my psychology degree. And then I came out and I had the problem that everyone seems to have coming out of university, is that I didn't have enough experience to get a job or get a job in the field that I wanted to get a job in. So then I was kind of, my hand was forced, I guess you could say. I couldn't get a job where I wanted to get a job. So I ended up working in the NHS. So I worked in NHS blood and transplant for a couple of years at a blood testing facility. And then I moved on to work for the BRI, which is a hospital in the centre of Bristol. I worked there for probably about 4 years throughout COVID and all of that horrible time. And then I kind of came out of that job. Oh, well, I came out of it because it had been just a lot during COVID. You know, you can imagine working in a hospital and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, I need to do something different now. I'm ready to move on and leave this behind. I don't kind of need that job anymore. So I worked at my university for a little bit. So I went back to the university where I'd studied and I worked there. But it was so different from the job I'd had before. So I went from working in the NHS where you're kind of micromanaged to death. And then I moved somewhere where they were like, no, this is your job, make it yours. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, what are you talking about? So I kind of was a bit, what's the word? A bit, I guess, lost in a way, kind of lost in my career. I was like, what do I want to do next? And then it just so happened that Steve and Tracy were looking for their next apprentice. And yeah, I ended up becoming an apprentice at Cox & Co. I had absolutely zero payroll knowledge, but I was very much, I wanted to go and do that, if you know what I mean. I didn't fall into it like many people do, but I've said, you know, I want to go and do that, and I know I'll give it my best, and I'll try my best, and that's all you can do, really. Yeah, so I had no knowledge whatsoever about payroll, and they said, you'll have to do the level 3. And I said, absolutely, I love to learn, so why not? And yeah, then I did the level 3. I was promoted to payroll and pensions manager, and now I've started my level 5. So yeah, that's how I ended up here.
Fantastic. So you started off applying for an apprenticeship for your level 3
Yeah.
and fell in love and found your calling.
Yeah, it feels that way. Very strange to say, but it really
Absolutely.
does. Yeah.
Do you know what? We all joke about we fell into payroll, but we all choose to stay because we love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the thing,
But
isn't
for
it?
whatever reason, yeah, I know, but it is addictive, the world of payroll. And like you said, now you've started the level 5, so no turning back now.
No turning back.
So it's obviously worked for you. You've done fantastic at the level 3. You've moved on to the level 5. So what is it about the apprenticeship approach that suits you? What have you enjoyed?
I think the main thing is being able to apply the knowledge that you gain immediately, almost. I think when you're at university or you know, learning in that kind of way, in that format, it's very much go and learn for 3 years, 4 years, whatever. And then after that, go and apply it. And by that point, you're like, what did I learn 3 years ago? I can't remember. So what I found really helpful was I could apply the knowledge that I had just learned literally immediately. You know, I would come up from my apprenticeship session, and be able to ask questions about what I learned immediately, and ask Steve if he could show me what that looked like in a real kind of context and that kind of thing. So I found that personally really, really helpful, just embedding that knowledge straight away. Yeah, and I think kind of the fact that I know everyone talks about the earn while you learn, but it's so helpful, especially if you're not coming into it leaving school. You know, when I did my level 3, I was 28, I had a mortgage, bills. Like there was no way that I could have taken unpaid training somewhere, even if I wanted to. It just wasn't feasible. I had responsibilities, you know. So I think that as well, although it is talked about and it's obviously a huge benefit to apprenticeships, for a lot of people, it's not just a benefit. It's so necessary. You know, these people, like someone like me, wouldn't have been able to do it had it not been paid. So yeah, I think that is a big selling point as well to any age of apprentice or potential apprentice.
Definitely. It opened those doors, doesn't it? Instead of closing off further training or um, enhancing your skills or going somewhere to a different field, and closing those doors because, like you said, life doesn't stop. Life's expensive. You've got to pay
It
the
is.
bills, you've got to pay the mortgage, and it allows you to do both. And like you said, I'm very much the same. If you're learning something and applying it, it sinks in,
Mhm.
and it is much easier then to carry that forward. So during the level 3, what was there any particular skills that really you benefited from? Was there anything that you sort of instantly took to?
I think probably the communication side of it. I think although I already had kind of, you know, communication skills because I've worked in many jobs before and I've had to have those skills. Um, Using them in this way to explain things to clients and to employees and things like that, absolutely have kind of strengthened my communication skills, without a doubt. And also the technical skills as well. Like I said, I had no experience in payroll whatsoever. I'd not really worked with kind of numbers and calculations since I was at uni. So those skills as well definitely strengthened, and there's a big onus on both of them. I do feel like they're equally weighted in an apprenticeship, which is so good. If you're stronger at one, then you have that chance to build your strength in the other. Yeah, so absolutely those two. And then the kind of, I guess, it's the behaviors as well, the looking at things critically and the professional skepticism and being able to see things with a critical eye, especially in payroll, and having that investigative mind, is a skill that I've definitely built on as well, and comes in handy every single day. So yeah.
Do you know what? Just listening to that's it. You're done. You're a payroller for life. I can see it.
They're going back now.
And how are you finding the level 5 so far? How's that going for you?
Yeah, it's great. It's really, really good. I've literally only started about a month ago or at the beginning of the year, but so far yeah, really good. It's flexible, um, more so than the level 3, but I feel like as you kind of move up, it makes more sense for it to be flexible because you've kind of got your own workload and things to work around. And the provider that is providing my apprenticeship allows you to take the modules in kind of any order that you want. So there's no strict kind of, you have to start with payroll and finish with pensions or whatever. You can take them in any order, which is really helpful. And you can kind of fit them around existing projects that you've got going on in the business. Or, you know, if you wanted to do the module about P11Ds when you're doing P11Ds in the business, that kind of thing. So that flexibility, definitely. And yeah, it's amazing. And I think level 3, I kind of learned about myself and how I learn and my knowledge and that kind of thing. Whereas level 5 is much more about my team or the team, or how we kind of operate together, how we share knowledge, the kind of leader that I am or maybe will be, or that kind of thing, and all of those skills as well, rather than just your technical kind of payroll knowledge. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. It's very good. I recommend.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I suppose the last thing then, really is, do you have any tips, any useful information for somebody starting? Something you wish you knew in the beginning?
Oh gosh. I would just say be open-minded, I think. Be open-minded about your apprenticeship, your job, just because your job title when you start says payroll technician or whatever, it doesn't mean that you have to do that forever. The skills that you learn on an apprenticeship are transferable anywhere. So you might decide that payroll isn't for you, and you might go and do something, a data analyst or a business analyst, or any of the hundreds of apprenticeships that are out there. So I think, yeah, definitely, just because you're doing an apprenticeship in something doesn't mean you're ring fenced to that for the rest of your life. And I would say ask questions. Always ask questions. I probably ask too many questions, but I feel like that's how I learn. So it makes sense, and it it allows you to kind of engage with your colleagues, and if you're starting somewhere new, especially, um, kind of builds that rapport with your colleagues, and just, yeah, immerse yourself, ask questions, say yes to things that you probably wouldn't have said yes to before. That's how I ended up here today. So yeah, all of those things, just, yeah, be open-minded and do your best.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your experience and your story. It's really nice to hear, and it's so nice to see your payroll passion shining through there. So thank you very much for sharing today.
No problem at all. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up, we have Curtis Sharp. So Curtis is the Payroll and People Operations Manager at Aldermore Bank PLC. Now, Curtis has completed his level 5 in Payroll Assistant Manager apprenticeship in June 2024. And at the CIPP graduation ceremony, he was awarded Project of the Year. Hi, Curtis. Congratulations. What an achievement.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a great week so far.
Absolutely fantastic. I bet you was proud of that one, Project of the Year.
I was, yeah. That was a bit of a surprise because I got pulled at the end as you walk away with your scroll to have a chat by somebody. So I thought, have I upset somebody? Have I done something wrong? Have I been speaking about something that I shouldn't have been? Having a bit of a laugh. But no, there's like, no, we think you've won something. So yeah, it was a really secretive surprise to get that. And I think the funniest thing that I actually took my wife to graduation for the day in Birmingham, and she couldn't find me. She didn't know where I was. So when they called my name out for the award, she was actually running around, speaking to friends like, oh my God, I think he's gone to the toilet. He needs to get on the stage now. And then I think loads of people was like shaking my hand backstage. So actually after a couple of minutes, I finally got to get to be presented the award. So yeah, it was really funny. Yeah, and great to receive some recognition too. So.
Oh, that's lovely. That's definitely one to remember. So, what brought you into the payroll world? What started your payroll career? Because from our conversation earlier, you've done quite a bit. So, what's your story?
Yeah, I've been around. So I think it's probably around personal interest when I was at school. So I'm no natural academic. I didn't like many subjects at school, to be honest. I didn't even like going to school, to be fair. But there was something which really stood out, which was business studies, which was really passionate about that subject. So that kind of gave me the insight and experience around bookkeeping, accountancy, financial management, and also payroll. So I think it was when you had a good teacher at school or your early education, that was where I was pushed to go, okay, you're pretty good at maths, but you're not great at talking to people and you can't really write well. But anyway, we can work on those softer areas. So actually, we think you'd be really good, like maybe pushing a career in payroll. And from there, when I left school, I didn't want to stay in sixth form or go to college. Didn't really look at university at that time, so really just couldn't afford it from the family I was from. So I decided to look at some apprentice opportunities actually back there when I was 16, 17, and I actually started in a hairdresser's apprenticeship, which was making cups of tea, sweeping up hair, and handing chocolate out to old ladies in chairs getting hair done. And it wasn't really a proper apprenticeship back then, like they are now. So for me, cash paid in the end of the week was fantastic at that time, but I really thought that wasn't a great career choice. And I think to be quite honest, I couldn't find anything payroll back then. And we're talking about 2000, 2001, 2002. So I do look quite young, but I am really old now. So yeah, I just couldn't find anything. So, I was led to where I was background was from, where I lived, there's no massive payroll bureaus, didn't really have any friends or family in payroll as either lawyers, builders or athletes. So I couldn't really talk to anyone about my career. So really funny enough, I walked past the Armed Careers Office. I was like, oh, I'm going to join the army. And I told them what I was into, showed my educational background, and they said, okay, so you've got an interest in accountancy and finance and payroll. So why don't you become like a combat HR specialist by military clerk, and you'll be able to get experience and, first-hand insight into payroll and actually start, looking after payroll across the military. You can go around the world for free, and go do that globally. And I thought, and get paid for it. That's just fantastic, So yeah, so I took the jump, joined the military. You get through your basic soldier training, and then you go into your trade technical sort of trade after college of administration. So went there and did 12 weeks of immersive like administration, operations, and payroll training. And from there, I was able to have that opportunity then to be deployed to the field, like the real army. Go from technically the military college to the real world. Just like a company, the army's no different to a business. You've got to pay people. It's still the same regulations and employment laws. Yeah, and I was given the opportunity to run like a small scale company, and you're thrown right into the deep end. So you're straight out of college and straight into running as a payroll technician or a very, kind of assistant payroll manager sort of role. I think when you're thrown into the deep end and you start picking things up on a job, that's when you start to learn your trade, because there's only so much you can learn, like at university, like what Bella mentioned, you're learning all that and then you kind of forget after a bit of time. So I think if you do go into an apprenticeship or join another business where you have straight into it, you're straight onto projects, you're working on the future, you're going to learn it so much quicker. So yeah, and I've always been passionate about delivering the ultimate experience to colleagues and clients. And I think, payroll is such a personal emotion. I think, working in that, there's maximum responsibility required. And yeah, I think being in this role, it gave me purpose and making people happy. And, I love delivering accuracy. And yeah, I just love technology too. So yeah, that's what really kickstarted my career in payroll.
Fantastic. You're just as passionate. I love how passionate payroll people are. It's like when you go to events, a Reconnected or conference, and you're talking to people all like-minded, and everyone's so passionate about payroll. Yeah, it kind of does make me very happy, but that's a different story. So how did you find out about this level 5 then, this apprenticeship? What brought you to that?
Yeah, so I think in 2000, so after COVID, things are a little bit slow at work. You say we're trying to get back into routine. We're trying to, get back to normal business as usual. And I really felt like there was an opportunity there to actually, capitalize on some additional time that allowed us to go out and kind of reflect and think about yourself where you want to be. So I was looking for a number of payroll qualifications. I was looking at CIPP, universities and stuff like that. And certainly looking at a payroll foundation degree was my first place to go to. And I really felt like maybe going into a degree of 2 to 3 years, and I've done a few degrees in the past that, wasn't ready for it, I was in the right frame of mind, I don't have children yet, but I'm really kept busy with my wife and my cat. So, and going out at weekends, I just felt like I wasn't going to be really disciplined enough to do an actual degree. So when the talent development rebranded education in the company in 2002, the payroll apprenticeship was actually on the brochure, and I think I was just flicking through it to help people. I was working as an HR consultant too, in and out of payroll operations and payroll. Is that I kind of looked and thought, okay, that's really took my eye. Really fancy that. I'm excited about reading the apprenticeship syllabus, and I spoke to my manager, I spoke to the talent team, and I was like, no one's ever done it yet in the company. It's brand new. We don't think anyone's completed it yet. Would you be up for it? And I said, well, yeah, absolutely. This is what I want to do. And I think, from reading the module, the syllabus, the one-to-one tutoring that was available at the time. I didn't do group tutoring, but you also can do that. You can also do it at your own pace. And I think also what Bella mentioned is that if you carefully plan the modules available around the apprenticeship is that, you know, the first thing I started on was pensions. I was working on a pension project, and then the P11D. So I did that P11D training, you know, during between March to June and July, when you do the P11D reporting, you know, back to HMRC. So you can really play the apprenticeship modules and the work you're doing to your strengths, which is, you know, yeah. So yeah, coming from onto why I chose it and how it came about was, yeah, just, you know, down to the talent and development team already in the company. So I think if it wasn't for them, I would apprenticeship.
So it looks like the flexibility's just worked right with you as well, and seems to be a bit of a theme.
It did, yeah.
And you said you don't have children yet. You kept busy with the life that you do have. And cats, obviously, they can be quite time consuming. Trust me, I know all about that. How did you balance your responsibilities with your studies and your managerial position as well? How did you find that?
Yeah, I found it really tough, and it was really challenging because even though you're on the apprenticeship and you get protected time, the work in your current job you have doesn't go anywhere. It's still there. It's still waiting for you to do. So I think I had to find a really good balance between around my normal day job. So that could be when I'm pushing payroll, you know, working on projects, you're doing the program management of, you know, you're implementing new technology like a benefits platform. I had to really plan again, then saying this word again, careful planning around that. So I think another thing for me is also communication with your management and the L&D team and your tutor. So sometimes where the tutor might be like, okay, I need to do this module by then. I think just be transparent, be upfront, and just be honest. You know, I won't be able to finish it in that time. Can I get an extra few days, or make a very quick decision in your head is that you may need to switch the modules around. So you finish a bit that module, but can you complete that at another time when you may get more experience and, you know, hands-on insight on the job that you're doing to actually get, you know, do some better answers or some better write-ups or record achievements. So I think then again, it's also then working out with your management and your team. So you look at your operating model for me is that we was really looking at, we hired like another, like a, you know, like a senior payroll administrator. So we had to strategically plan that the work, you know, if I was unable to do it, and we had to make sure that we had somebody, you know, monitoring the inbox, monitoring, you know, jumping on telephone calls, you know, speaking to teams meetings, and, you know, doing that stakeholder management, that somebody was there to take on that role if I wasn't available. So if it wasn't for that person coming in and how the team supported me and my manager, I think it would have been a really rock hard uphill struggle to do the apprenticeship. But then again, I think if you plan out your capacity, understand how long it's going to take for each module, and plan it around your daily life and your weekends, you're really going to have a successful apprenticeship. You know, set yourself up for success. So yeah, that's how I did it. And I'm not going to lie, there were some tough times. It was hard. You know, there were some weekends where, you know, something was happening in the family. We had, you know, you're on holiday for a couple of weeks. I don't like to go on my weekends. I like to go, if I'm going away somewhere, I like to go away for quite a long time and shut my laptop up. So yeah, you need to do that, plan around it. But do remember to have a break and have fun. You know, take the apprenticeship serious, but not yourself. You know, relax, be fun, keep your personality as you are, and you'll get through it. It's not difficult. It may be difficult for some people, but like if you just look ahead, be positive, wake up with like loads of resilience. You know, everyone's gone through a hard time in their life. And I think really that the prior training and education you've already done, you know, everyone's probably been to school at some point in their life. You'll be able to do the apprenticeship and be successful. Yeah, I think they're my words of wisdom around how to be, you know, just be successful in your managerial position, you know, not get sacked, you know, still meet your objectives at the end of the year. So.
And I think from personal experience, it makes it that much sweeter, that walk across the stage. I did my degree in payroll management. I literally just started when COVID hit, and I was also having my daughter. So I did the 3 years during COVID while having two babies, 12 months apart, and juggling a payroll manager's position. So if it wasn't for my family and understanding manager, yeah, it can get extremely tough, but you get through it. It gives you those skills and the resilience, like you say, the support at home and in work, and then walking across that stage knowing that you've achieved that, and even overcoming those challenges, it just makes it rather satisfying, I found. So even though you got the work there, it's definitely worth it. And it sounds like both of you feel exactly the same on that front. So with that being said, you're obviously a big fan of the apprenticeship scheme yourself. Would you consider hiring an apprentice in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that would be my direct answer to that. But I think, you know, I'd always run a fair recruitment process for payroll administrators or payroll managers. But to be honest, if I saw that on the CV, I know exactly what they've been through. I know the quality of education that they've got from the providers. They've gone through the endpoint assessment. They've gone through the multiple choice question, which I think I just scraped a pass. I didn't get a distinction on that, sadly. That was probably the toughest thing, you know, when you time them and stuff like that. So, and the project at the end and the endpoint assessments, you know, they sat in, you know, sat in front of a professor, a very, very well qualified, you know, payroll seasoned professional, and they've been through the mill with them with the Q&As. So you know that they're going to come to this company or your team with a certain standard. And I think that's what will set you out amongst a crowd of other payroll professionals and other people trying to find a payroll position. You know, you'll have more chance, I think, of getting a job. But then it's, you know, it's inclusive. We want to make sure that we do run a fair process, as I've said, and, you know, the best person for the job will be selected. But you've got to think about your CV too. So if you're looking at sourcing and recruiters, you've got the level 3 or level 5 on your CV, you're going to make it through that first round to actually be selected to be put in front of the hiring managers. So yeah, I think that's where you need to start. So yes, absolutely, I will consider somebody to be, you know, on my team with apprenticeship because I know the wealth of experience that will bring and all the modules that they'll do. So, and I think to be quite honest, you start to specialize at level 5, and I think you do at level 3. So, you know, you go into in-depth knowledge of a lot of modules. So, for example, you know, we need a number of people back then in our day with PLMD experience. So I know very well that they've done that module and they can come in and hit the ground running. And I think it's around, you know, it'd be a low risk hire and I'll be comfortable, I'll be confident. I think there'll be trust there. And it's a bit of a bond, really. You know, they've gone through apprenticeship just like you have. So it's a bit of a, you know, a brotherhood and sisterhood sort of, you know, bit of culture, really. And yeah, I think that's why I would, you know, probably put the level 5 apprentice candidate in the top third to be selected for that role.
Fantastic. Like I said earlier, your passion really shows for your role and the apprenticeship system as well. So taking all that into account, you finished your level 5, you love your job, you love payroll. What's next for you? What's your next steps?
Yeah, so I think there's loads of steps you can look at. So when I finished level 5, I was thinking, you know, do I succeed in some more senior role at the company in payroll management? But, you know, just due to our operating model at the moment, we already have a head of payroll. So you've got to try to think. So I had to think a little bit more outside the box. Where can I bring my experience and wealth in HR and payroll, combine it together and make us, you know, a significant strategic impact in the company? And for me, I'm also quite fascinated and interested and quite, you know, just really pulled in by the technology and AI. It's like gravity to me, just pulls me in. I want to know how that payroll system works, the engineering, the coding. So the level 5 apprenticeship has actually started to take me down that path, which has started now. So for me, I want to create really good progressive platforms in payroll. I want to bring it on a lot more. I want to remove the variable and manual data sort of risks that we can have in payroll. And I think for me, it's all about delivery and that experience. So what I want to do is, you know, streamline processes, automate things, allow AI technology to help payroll professionals look at data, you know, being able to make us make better decisions, you know, remain compliant, low risk, So it's really starting to down that direction, which it has. So at the moment, I've been seconded to the automation and kind of AI team in the company. So I'm sat down here. I say I'm sat down here. I'm actually, working from home today. As you can see from the background, that's also the flexibility of the apprenticeship. You can go around anywhere and work. So a little bit of a sell there. But going back to AI and automation, is that I'm actually starting to develop robots in payroll. So where there's some manual work done, it's repetitive, it's boring. I don't want to take somebody who graduates out of university who's got like a first class honours, you could say in any discipline or subject, and stick him in front of a computer and say, okay, can you just pump in overtime into the Oracle or the payroll system? I don't want to do that. I just don't think that's value adding at all. I want them to come in and be able to go, okay, so I want you to work on this strategic initiative. What does the future look like? I want you to do some research and development. I want you to improve processes. I want you to map end-to-end areas of payroll and look for better, look for opportunity where we can improve things, make things better. Can we collaborate with other functions in the business? Come to this like strategic objective of meeting our missions at the end of the year and our company's values and code of conduct. So I really am looking a lot more future and enterprise wide of what AI and automation can do in payroll and HR and other businesses. Can we give a better manager experience or client experience? Can we be a lot more speedier by releasing pay slips, for example? Yeah, we push the payroll button and the pay slip comes available. Can we show pay slips which have like, this is what it looks like at the moment? Any questions? You don't know until payroll's successful. Till a few days after payroll, you could say. You think it's successful, but the clients and the managers will be back to you within 24 hours giving you that feedback, which could be negative or positive, mainly negative if they're getting in touch with you anyway with payroll. So I think for me, that's where I want to be. I want to improve the experience and really leverage AI and technology in payroll and across HR and enterprise wide in the company. So it's really started me to take a more specialist approach of moving away from more than payroll management and pushing payroll to thinking about the future of payroll in the company and where it's going to be in the next 5 years' time. So yeah, that's where it's taking me at the moment. Yeah.
That sounds so exciting, and I hope you've signed up for our think tank on February the 18th. With your expertise in AI, we definitely want to be hearing some of that for our consultation response. So yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic. Again, you can see the passion, and you've got what looks like a fantastic career in front of you. And thank you so much for your time today. Good luck with whatever comes next, wherever that AI takes you. And it's been amazing to speak to you today. So I'm sure we're going to have a few questions at the end.
Thank you, Sarah.
As we go through. So what do we need to know about apprenticeships? So I'm sure you all aware by now the apprenticeship levy is paid by large employers with an annual payroll of over £3 million. So large employers who pay into the levy have a digital account. They have access to that, and they have access to the funds for the apprenticeship training. Smaller employers do not pay into the levy. They will pay just 5% of the cost of the apprenticeship training, and the government will top up and pay the rest. There is also a system in place where a larger employer can transfer up to 25% of their funds on their digital account to a small employer, allowing the smaller employer to make full use of the funding. Now, levy funds can't be used to pay apprenticeship wages for top-up qualifications or qualifications that are not already approved as part of the apprenticeship. It is important to note at this point that although the apprenticeship levy is a UK-wide venture, this information is specific to employers in England, as apprenticeships themselves, like a lot of employment law, is a devolved matter. So different rules may apply in Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. So you can head over to the Gov website, and they provide up-to-date lists of training providers. Every apprenticeship standard is available on there. The list includes locations, achievement rates, reviews, and contact information. So there's many training providers listed. They offer assistance with recruitment, and this also can be a great starting point for both sides for new apprentices. Alternatively, for people looking for an employer, roles are often advertised both on the Gov site and general websites as well. So there's plenty of places you can look for those apprenticeships. So let's have a little look. Do we have any questions? What's been going on in the questions tab? So, Zoe Pope, hi all, not a question, but please do take a look at a special episode of my Duvet Flip, the UK's leading careers show, if you haven't already. It features Bella Cox. Kept that one quiet, Bella, and our very own Natasha Taylor. So the episode focuses on both of their apprenticeship journeys and the payroll industry, and there is a link in the chat there as well. So I know our CEO did a Duvet Flip on payroll. Bella's watched that one, you can see her nodding, which was fab. And they are quite interesting to watch. So, and I think that one was only filmed recently with Bella and Natasha. So you can head over and watch that as well. So we have a comment from Ellis, one of our chartered members. Bella, you followed the same path as my daughter, leaving uni with a degree in psychology and trying to get a job without experience. She is now HCM Payroll Implementation Project Manager. So there you go. It shows how successful you can be. So we have a question from Daniel Bishop. Because an apprentice can be 16 years old or 65, how should an employer support different age groups from an apprentice's point of view? How should an employer support different age groups from an apprentice's point of view? Do either of you have any thoughts and opinions on that one?
I think it probably should be the same, really. I think depending on what age you are, young or old, I think the apprenticeship framework which has been made by the company should be completely fair and transparent. I'd say, I think, maybe the younger side, they may have a different approach to education, how to suck in that information. So maybe the younger people may want to be more like they want to stay in the company more and be mentored and, tutored and coached by people that they know already or they feel comfortable. Things down to confidence too, if you want to get yourself out there. Maybe for the, I'd say more senior apprentice, they may want to go to more workshops, they want to get out and, they have a bigger network to be supported by. So I think it's just down to the company. I think every apprenticeship is tailored to you. I think as long as you have your reasonable request to get from A to B, I need this time off, or I want to go here, I need some expenses paid for, or I need some investment in this area to get the best out of this apprenticeship to give back to the company, which is the ultimate goal. Technically it's, you don't pay anything for it. It's not free, but I think you need to, at the end of the apprenticeship, show some loyalty back to the company. I think it's just a tip from me. But yeah, it's really hard to find a direct answer, really. I feel like, it could be quite discriminative. Old people need more time and new people don't, it won't be very fair. So yeah, I'd say it's just up to the apprentice, working with the manager and the L&D team to find out what works best for them, and then just take it from there.
And like the days where, it was apprenticeships were available 16 to, was it 19 at one point, or 16 to 21? And that was quite acceptable back then. And I remember when I was a little bit lost at some point during my career, before I found payroll, and I wasn't given that option in school. I was told finance. You like this, finance, which just didn't sit right with me. I like numbers and I like problem solving and investigating things, but it just wasn't for me. No one ever suggested payroll. And I looked at apprenticeships, but by this point, the way my life had taken a direction, I was over that age. And it was then hard for me to go back, because that was acceptable back then, to have the age limit on it. And it was a completely different world. And I actually went through a similar option that was a work-based learning in my local college. And I volunteered most of my time and then did a little bit of studying, but it was just called something different. And I said I wanted to work for the local council. And they said, no, we don't do that. They don't take on apprentices, or they don't take on volunteers anymore because they've been messed about this, that, and the other. Well, I didn't want to take that for an answer. I don't like no. So I approached the council myself, and I ended up speaking to the one that replied to me was a lady in HR, and she allowed me for an interview. She allowed me to go and volunteer, and I had a great time. I was part of the HR team. I learned so much. And then I actually asked the finance manager if I could volunteer there in my spare time, which I did. And then that all led to, once I finished my qualification, there was a data entry job in the payroll department. And it was internal only. And they said to me, you've really proved yourself. Would you like to apply for the job? So I literally used to enter thousands and thousands of mileage claims, literally data entry for the council, month in, month out. I still see those boxes from the reams of paper with all those claims in, and the thousands that I used to enter manually. And that was my first taste of payroll, helping the girls out, answering the phones. And then one thing led to another. And before I knew it, I was steered into the world of payroll, and again, fell in love and chose to stay. And now living the dream, working for the CIPP, it just shows how you can progress through working hard and studying and doing your thing at the same time. So thank you both for that. We are coming to an end now, and I believe that is all the questions we have. I can't see anything else in there. So we'll say that's all from us for today. So a copy of the recording and the slides will be emailed out to all the attendees by the end of the week. We are also excited to offer a special promotion for this week. If you use discount code NAW when joining as a member, you will have the administration fee waived. So if you do decide you want to become a member of the CIPP, then you can get that administration fee waived with the code NAW. For more information about membership levels, benefits, or any other inquiries, please do feel free to reach out to us at membership@cipp.org.uk. If you haven't registered for the additional webinars taking place this week, please do visit our website and sign up. We've got some fantastic content. There's lots to talk about in National Apprenticeship Week. Enjoy the celebrations for the rest of the week, everybody, and don't forget to tag us in your social media posts. You can tag us at CIPP_UK and IPP_education using the hashtag NAW2025. So again, I would really like to thank both Bella and Curtis for joining us and giving us their insight today and taking the questions. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you all for joining us, and I wish everybody a fantastic National Apprenticeship Week. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you
See
very
later.
much.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.